Good morning and welcome to our Sunday celebration service. As always, we are so grateful that you decided to join with us today and spend your time here for the next 45 minutes to an hour going over lessons and just celebrating this Sunday with us. I hope you joined us for our Father's Day celebration last week and all the wonderful videos that we were able to add in the songs. So truly grateful if you were here with us today. As always, we like to remind you that, while we're here and we're going through our announcements and things, that you go ahead and share out this video and this Sunday celebration while we're talking here to all the social media platforms that you're on, and because that's how we get our word out. This is how we get other people to join us and get to learn more about this. This week we were, again, a little behind the times because we had some technical issues going on as well as some personal issues that had to be taken care of. So we will be returning this Monday with our weekly shows, but with a special twist. So Monday will be Meditation Monday, Kids Edition. We will be spending the next couple of weeks working on our success series with showing our children who are home for the summer anyway how to meditate and how to use this, getting them ready to return to school in September. As well as on Tuesday, we'll be back talking about the hot topics of the week, as well as we'll throw some success principles in there as well to keep with the same continuity. Wednesday, I return back with my wife and my daughter as we talk about worship and we talk about baptism, utilizing the book Alternatives. So if you haven't gotten the book, go to our website, pick up that book through our Amazon link or wherever you pick your books up at. And of course, Thursday we will return with our latest contemplative evening with our next principle. So make sure you join us this week with that. And as always, this show and all the shows I put on is because of your generosity, whether you are donating your time, your talent, or your tithes. The equipment, everything that we have here that we use is because of you, and we're grateful for that. So why not continue that? You can go to our website at weesc.org, hit that give button, and you can donate that way. And as always, support your spiritual centers that you are still practicing with. They're doing such great works. Unity on the Bay especially, they're actually not only taking donations for school bags to help the South Florida area as the children's return to school, but they're willing to match that as well. So that's a unity I want to mimic because I love to hear stories where we can serve the community the best way we know possible. And again, our community is based on unity principles that I've learned as a unity minister, as well as other luminaries out there teaching the best way to hit a positive path of spiritual living. One thing one of my mentors taught me was, if you're going to be a copycat, copy the right cat. And Unity on the Bay in Miami said it perfectly. And I think it fits perfectly in our spiritual community. We are positive, we are progressive, and we are practical. And what do I mean by that? We are positive, and that's self-explanatory. Even in the midst of challenges, we feel through the emotions, we grow through the emotions, but we find a positive solution to how we deal with the emotion. The choice we have is how we react to something. Progressive, we constantly are growing. I am constantly reading, I'm taking new classes, things that I can bring to our spiritual community right now online, maybe one day in person. And we will get to that point as it is, but it is about growing. A minister I heard one time said, if your minister isn't reevaluating his interpretation or his experience with God, then that's somebody you may not want. And that's something that I've always strove to be, is to continue to reevaluate my beliefs and my practices so that I know that as I can do, so can you. And finally, practical. Everything I teach on this service, everything you learn in the service, whether it's through us or any other spiritual community throughout the unity communities, is to be used. It's to practice. It's to actually put it into doing. So that's what's important. And again, I'll take this from the newest shirt from Unity, so get yours if you want at unity.org and go to the shop button. And it is radically inclusive, especially in these times. We need to come together as a community to truly help each other understand and go through the waves of everything that's going on this year. And always with that, connect with us. Go to our website, again, weesc.org, and go to our Contact Us page. There's a couple of choices in there. One is prayer requests. One is one is prayer request. One is volunteer. Let us know that you want to help out with these shows. And with that being said, we are on our way to that experience you've been waiting for.
Good morning, everyone. Let us tap into that power of imagination. Hold your breath. Make a wish. Count to 3. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Wanna change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with your imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do it. Wanna change the world? There's nothing to it. There is no life I know to compare with your imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
Our daily word for this week is unlimited potential. And our affirmation for today is life expresses through me as infinite potential. We pray, like an unopened bud, I am filled with potential that is waiting to be manifest. I have within me the potential to become the power to be, the enthusiasm to enjoy, and the wisdom to express. Infinite possibilities lie within me and can be encouraged, developed, and manifested for good. I fulfill my potential as I allow God's guidance to pilot my thoughts and God's direction to guide my life. As I unfold spiritually, I find myself expressing my God-given ability to whatever I most desire to be. I am aglow with the light of God shining through me. The power of God at work within me manifests good. I can unfold,
grow, and succeed as I use the unlimited potential for good that God has given me. Our biblical scripture for today comes from Zechariah 10, verse 12. I will make them strong in the Lord, and they shall glory in his name, says the Lord.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one.
Hey, and we're continuing our Summer Success series. I really hope you enjoyed our Father's Day series last week. But we now start moving into more of the practical side of our success with the book, The Seven Spiritual Laws the Seven Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. And this book was introduced to me years ago, prior to even knowing what Unity was about, as one of the PBS specials alongside Wayne Dyer and all the other people I was influenced by. And when I read the book, it made me reevaluate a lot of things, such as, what exactly is success? Is success to you money raining down from the sky? Is it wearing fancy jewelry and fancy clothing? Maybe it's going out to fancy restaurants and theaters and doing all those things so that we can keep up with the Joneses. You know, maybe it is just that. Maybe success to us is when other people tell us that we are successful. Or is success really living life in what Eric Butterworth says, the flow? knowing that we are effortlessly reaching goals and things of that nature. Well, that's what we're going to look at today. Not only are we going to answer the question as to what is success and what is spiritual success, but we're going to tap into two laws, the law of pure potentiality and the law of giving and receiving, which we did touch on earlier this year. So stand by as we go ahead and answer those questions for you. So why don't we go ahead and answer that question? What exactly is success for us? When I came up in New York City, success was looking and dressing right, having the right jewelry, having the right tenement, make sure you had the right phone. Yes, I had an iPhone back in the day. Those were the things that perceived to be successful. Were you driving the right car? Now, someone who lived in Manhattan or traveled in Manhattan knew you really didn't need a car, even though people had them, but you were traveling on the trains. But still in all, there was always this persona you had to match. And it took years of prosperity training with the right teachers to really change my mind. So as I said, one of the books that did come to me, and it was through a PBS special, just like I was introduced to Wayne Dyer, was The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. In fact, if you go out onto YouTube, I think there's actually not only the original PBS special, but he actually did an update to it recently. But he defines success as in life can be defined as the continued expression of happiness and the progressive realization of worthy goals. So let's break that up a little bit. So success in life can be defined as continued expansion of happiness. When we talk about happiness, we're not talking about what seemingly makes you happy, but that true happiness that comes from that inner self, that true divinity within you, and the progressive realizations of worthy goals. So when we use the terms what does not serve us, this is what we're talking about. When we're shooting for goals, what are these goals amounting to? As I'm working through this, as we build this spiritual community, I have a goal of just serving people through the unity teachings that I have received, as well as service. Now, how that looks in a couple of months or so, I don't know. But I am doing this to serve those people that may be in transition right now, maybe attend a physical church and just want something extra. But that's what it is for me. So to me, that's a worthy goal, is to help serve. And in turn, me having to continue to learn these things keeps me going. So again, we're going to talk about the law of giving and receiving in a little bit. So success, once again, is defined as the continued expansion of happiness and the progressive realization of worthy goals. And being that we're talking about the spiritual laws of success, spiritual terms, success is measured by how effectively and how effortlessly we co-create with the universe. A number of years ago, I got into a conversation about the word fight. And some people immediately hit fight, and their brain or their perspective of it is that we're going against something. But if you're a parent, you know that you will always fight for something. Whether it's fight for yourself to be a better parent, maybe it's fight for your children, to make sure that they're getting the best they can do in, challenging times. And the word fight no longer means something derogatory, but means that we're putting all our energy behind it. Now, of course, there are other words we can use, but this is a perfect example of that, is that when we effortlessly, so we want to move from the I've got to fight for something, move to the whole I am already in the flow by doing the work I needed to do. So again, let's talk about quickly that there's always it always began at the source, and that defined the source as more potentiality, which is purely unmanifested consciousness. So that's going to lead us into our first law today. So just a quick review: success from a regular level is finding that happiness and achieving those worthy goals. And from a spiritual sense, is to effortlessly live in that area of happiness and joy and know that we're living abundantly. So the first law we're going to talk about today, which I love, is the law of pure potentiality. And what I love about this law is that when you look at our Unity 5 principles, this law alone, even though every one of these laws are going to touch those principles, this law alone has us running right through the 5 principles evenly and effortlessly when you understand it. So the law of pure potentiality says that our essential state is one of pure potentiality. Pure potentiality, is pure consciousness, the field of all possibilities and infinite creativity. Okay, so seeing that we know that it is our essence, we immediately move to principle number 2 that says that we are that expression of God. In fact, during my time with the University of Metaphysics, or the University of Sedona, and I received my bachelor's degree there in metaphysics, Paul Masters, who was the person that wrote the curriculum, talked about how pure potentiality was actually what we call God. Because we know that when we talk about God and unity, it is the source of all. It is love, it is life, it is happiness, it is joy. And it is not something that's secluded to only a certain number of people, but flows in and through all things within earth. And because of that, when we begin to express that into the universe, when we express that into our world, we are true potentiality. We talk about where Eric Butterworth says that we are the potters and the source is that clay. And we look at that clay, and it is through our expression of what that becomes, whether it's a vase, whether it's a bowl, it could be anything. In turn, it could be just an ugly lump of clay because our mind was somewhere else. So when we believe in ourselves that there is no separation between the field of energy and our spiritual essence, also known as our self. And when you read doctrine or read books on prosperity and individual enlightenment, there's always the big self and the little self. And we're talking about the big self right now. That divine self within ourselves, our true selves. Know that our essential nature is one of pure potentiality. We align with the power that manifests everything into the universe. So principle number 1, God is everywhere. God is good. God is omnipotent, omniscient. It's flowing everywhere. And it is the source and principle from which we all are expressed from. Principle number 2 tells us that we are part of that pure potentiality. And to be able to put this law into effect, you must first accept that you are this expression of pure potentiality. Take it from me. I understand that when we go through self-worth issues, when we go through self-doubt issues, we believe ourselves separated from this. And we sometimes need to come back to reminding ourselves through our principles that if God is good, we are good because we are an expression of that pure potentiality. We are an expression of that source. We are a part of spirit. When we understand that, then we understand that just like the law says, therefore success in life depends on knowing who we really are. So we need to stop putting ourselves down. We all make mistakes. We all miss the mark or sin. We do our best at what we know. And as Maya Angelou says, when we know better, we do better. But we have to know better, and that's okay. There is nowhere in time that we no longer have the ability to be purely the potential of who we truly need to be and who we truly are. So the author here, and I wanted to say, I quote him completely, is when our eternal reference point is the ego or self-image, we feel cut off from our source. So here's that illusion of separation. And the uncertainty of events creates fear and doubt. The ego is influenced by objects outside of the self. So circumstances, people, and things. It thrives on the approval of others. It wants to control because it lives in fear. But the ego is not who we really are. The ego is our social mask. It is the role we are playing. Again, someone like myself, living in, whether it's here in New York, sometimes we feel so doubtful of who we truly are that we let go of our self-worth. We forget that we are an example of true potentiality. We have challenges. I have challenges that I'm working through now. To give the best me, I need to find my way through these challenges. Find my way back to that flow and know that the flow is not an instantaneous thing. It's something that with continuous work will come. But I have to first understand the essence of pure potentiality, and I have to understand that in success is me identifying who I truly am, which is an expression of this pure potentiality. Self-power is true power because it is based on the laws of nature and comes from the knowledge of the self and self-power. It magnetizes people, situations, and things to support our desire, and it is also known as a state of grace. So when in our prayers we ask and affirm that we are fully in grace and we are flowing through and feeling it just raining down on us, that grace, it's not truly that it is outside of us, but because we are inside and we are doing this flow, that grace is upon us. Who are we to doubt when Jesus himself said, "Is it not written in your laws that ye are gods?" And if you go back to Proverbs, you will find the actual verse that he's talking about. Later on, he tells his apostles, "You can do all things that I have done and so much more." So we talk about a spiritual center or a minister being progressive is because not only can we mimic what others have done and teach that to you so that you can mimic what we have done, but we want you to take it and make it better. Turn it around and teach it to us. As someone who's ever been a teacher in any way, they say the best way for me to learn is to teach. So when I say go out, reach one, is because I want you to take what you learn, put it into practice, and teach others to do exactly the same. And I guarantee you that student is going to turn around one day and say, "Hey, I did what you said and this was my outcome," and you now have a new lesson in your brain and in your heart. So how do we experience the laws of pure potentiality? Well, the first thing is the way to practice is through the silence and meditation. So here we're going through each thing. We understand that for us to get through the pure potentiality, we need to know our thoughts must align with that we are pure potentiality and that who we truly are. So now it's the act, we start moving into action. So what is one of the things we can do? Meditation, silence and meditation. In Unity, we would say it's prayer and meditation. Now, some of you may say, well, do I have to pray or do I have to meditate? I will tell you right now, you can meditate without praying, but you can never pray without meditation, especially in the affirmative prayer practices and flow. So, the Bible itself says, "Be still and know that I am God." Maybe change that a bit to "be still and know that I am good," and affirm that for yourself. But when you take away and let go of this outer force, remember, our ego is fed by this mask that we build based on what people outside of us are telling us, what we should do. And as Reverend Diane used to always tell me, we should never should on ourselves. So when we remove that mask to be our true self and we're still in the moment, we release, as you've heard me say, the worry of yesterday and the anxiety of tomorrow. We release the outer world to take the seat in our soul, to enter into that consciousness, that Christ consciousness, that Buddha nature, that Krishna consciousness, whatever it is for you. And know that we are in our inner dwelling, the kingdom which is inside of ourselves. When you take that time daily in the silence to listen, you will begin to see and hear what your true potential is. And again, principle number 5 is not enough to know the truth. You must live that truth, which means that that small voice is giving you instructions to move forward with. So one of the examples I like to, when I used to teach the Success for Teens program, is when you throw a rock in water, what happens? It ripples out. So when you go into your silence and you begin to affirm for yourself the intent of, this is what I need to become, what is mine to do, it's sending out a ripple of energy, which then begins to attract things to your life, whether it's people, whether it's examples, whether it is whatever. There's a lot of things that happened this year that last year I would have told you would have never happened. But it starts that ripple effect. What is mine to do? Another thing you can do as you move through potentiality is practicing non-judgment. Now, this is a talk I had with a few people who all came back to say I was crazy. And that is when you suspend the thoughts of good and evil. You know, today we are on the onset of a ruling that happened on Friday where Roe and Wade was overturned. Now, I'm not telling you not to feel any emotions that you may be going through. We grow through those emotions. We feel them, we embody them, and we grow through them, and we work through them. But if we don't label it, and we begin to fall into the silence and not be judgmental about it, maybe there's something that comes to us in our meditation that says, what is ours to do? Now, short of running into the Supreme Court, making them change their mind, there are other things that we may be led to. And it's not just this decision. It could be something that happened in your life. It could be a relationship issue. It could be a financial issue. It could be anything. We are pure potentiality, and I want that to continue to drive through your head, that we need to stop lessening ourselves and know that we are truly who we came to be. Lastly, and it may seem simple, but if you utilize it right, it could be one of your best tools, is spend time in nature. You know, I like to say I like to people watch, and I used to remember talking about sitting in the park with my little ones and watching them run and play. And if we were in a park full of kids, we'd watch how they interacted with each other, how that loving energy was going, because there was no prejudice, there was nothing. It was just kids having fun and laughing. And even if we're not watching people, have you ever just watched nature in general? You know, maybe it's ducks in a pond, or a squirrel running or chasing another squirrel, or maybe just a dog that's, loose and running around and sniffing. Maybe just a bumblebee flying by, or the birds in the air. Each one has its own natural intelligence that when you plug into it, you truly can see what the potential is out there, not just us as a human being in a spiritual form, but just in general how nature is. And it also comes to the energy. You know, one of the energy I worked in Reiki with my teacher Lee Vanderhoof was aura, seeing the energy in people. And you can see them around the plants and stuff like that too. And sometimes I used to sit there and try to do that and see the energy coming off the trees and things like that. When it's hot outside, you can probably see it a lot easier. But it is generally that natural intelligence that helps us to grow to know what kind of potentiality we have. So just to quote the author one last time in the Law of Pure Potentiality, he says that you are consciousness itself, both as it manifests in the material world and as it lies unmanifested in your being. With the knowledge and practice of this law, you can put yourself in harmony with nature and create with carefree joy and love. Wherever you go in the midst of activity, carry your stillness with you. Then the chaotic activity around you will never overshadow your access to that field of pure potentiality. So the steps that we talked about will be in your action steps later on. But these are things you want to take. And this is our principle number 5. Not enough to know the truth. You must live that truth you know. Because it is in that practice. When things used to get chaotic in my life, I used to go crazy. What am I going to do? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And it would end up being arguments and things like that. Now it's, okay, take a deep breath. How do we solve this issue now? And we move with it. And pure potentiality unfolds. So now that we've gone through pure potentiality, let's talk about something we talked about a little while ago, which is the law of giving and receiving. And the reason that this law is very important is because everything in nature, we talked about going into nature and seeing that divine intelligence, that potentiality out there. But we know that giving and receiving is just a cycle of what's going on. One of the examples I used during our talk the last time is that, as we breathe out carbon dioxide, plants take it in and they return oxygen. But imagine if we breathed out carbon dioxide and then covered our mouth. If I did that long enough, I probably would pass out, and you don't want to see that on camera. But the point is, if we do that, we're stopping the circulation. Because not only did we stop ourselves from breathing in, but we stop the production of carbon dioxide, which goes out to the plants. And in turn, if it was just myself and a plant, we both end up killing this, as we say, killing the circulation and stopping that flow. So the law of giving and receiving is based on the fact that everything in the universe operates through dynamic exchange. Every relationship is one of give and take because giving and receiving are different aspects of the flow of energy in the universe. So I like the example he gives. When we talk about giving and receiving, our minds immediately go to currency or money. And the word currency, which we use to talk about money and things like that, derives from the Latin word meaning to run or flow. So we know that when we talk about prosperity, we know it does not include just money. We know that prosperity, in the words of Charles Fillmore, our co-founder, is that it comes from a flow of ideas and dreams that come to us with instructions that we must act upon. But we know that money is a tool to do such things. So when we talk about money, we talk about how we want to keep that money circulating. So when it comes in, you may want to thank it for coming in, and when it goes out, you may want to thank it for blessing someone else or blessing that business or whatever it is. There is a book by a Japanese author called Happy Money, which talks about exactly that. So when we talk about giving, we must remember that the intention behind our giving and receiving is the most important thing. And I had this talk a while ago because I came to understand that giving without the true intention is nothing more than doing. So if we're giving something with the expectation of getting something back, it's more of a negotiation than I'm doing something. If I'm giving and 3 months later I'm complaining because it never came back because I shut off the circulation, but of course I'm not taking blame for it. It is doing. Again, I quote Reverend Diane because she was the one that was helping me with the open to receive. She said it herself, she goes, remember, when you're tithing, you must be tithing from a joyful nature. If you are just giving because you feel obligated to, then you're just doing. But if you're giving because you receive something, such as a great lesson, maybe some service from a spiritual center. Randy Gage used an example of meeting somebody at a meeting, and that person began to teach him something, that he pulled out his checkbook and wrote a check and gave it to him, because that was his way of saying, I'm tithing to you and your project, because within the last 30 minutes during lunch, you taught me something, and I received knowledge. So you want to be a joyful giver. So when it's unconditional and from the heart, then the energy behind the giving increases many times over. We know that in the Bible it says, as we give, so shall we receive. We say it comes back tenfold because we're giving as a joyful giver. So again, but if we give grudgingly, there is no energy behind the giving. We feel that we have lost something through the act of giving, and the gift is not truly given and will not cause increase. So if we're giving because of we're obligated. So again, another Randy Gage lesson, at least to me, he talked about how bills should be blessings. Because if you've ever gone through a time in your life where you had your heat turned off, your energy turned off, or something turned off because of a challenge with finances or whatever the case was, and then had it turned back on, you know what a blessing that utility is to you. So now when you're paying that bill, you want to bless it because it's delivering something to you. When you pay that bill joyfully, it will continue to come back to you. All right? So if you want to learn, if you want love, give love. If you want attention and appreciation, learn to give attention and appreciation. If you want material affluence, help others become materially affluent. If you want to be blessed with all the good things in life, learn to silently bless everyone with all the good things in life. And I love the fact that he stresses silently, because remember, one of the things that Jesus taught is never let your right hand know what your left hand is doing, or vice versa, in the works of charity. Because again, this is a giving grudgingly, because if you're giving money to someone and then the next thing out of your mouth is, guess what, I gave so and so, because you're looking to force something to come back, such as admiration and things like that, then you've not given joyfully. But when you've given in silence, as Jesus said, your Father knows. We know within ourselves in the joyful nature that when that energy is created from that joyful sense, we expand that into the world. It is that pebble that hits the water and ripples out. And when we're a joyful giver, guess what? We must then be open to receive and be a joyful receiver. Abundance has material expression, but is really circulating in consciousness. So that's why we talk about the joyfulness, giving in joy, taking in joy, so that we continue that circulation. We are a bundle of thoughts in a thinking universe, and thoughts has the power of transformation. To give, so how do we experience the law of giving? Well, we want you to go ahead and give a gift to everyone that you encounter. Why? Because it doesn't have to be physical or material. A smile, a prayer. You know, when I started to practice this and truly dive into it, I found myself when I was driving that I would see somebody would cut me off. And again, I was like everybody else. You know, I'm pissed off. Why is this guy cutting me off? Blah, blah, blah. As my consciousness changed, I realized when somebody cut me off now and were speeding, I would say a small prayer and affirm that if that person had an emergency or something that he gets there safely. And if he doesn't, that he consciously realizes that he may put himself and others in danger by the way he is driving. And I lead it be, as how to say, you know, as so it is and so we let it be. And I release it, which releases that energy of me of being mad. Sometimes when I'm driving and I see an animal on the side of the road that may have been hit or whatever, I say a prayer and a quick affirmation of, I hope you transition well, my friend. And leave it at that. And it is in that giving that we are able to understand that giving isn't always material. It is in giving love. It is in giving silently in a prayer to someone. You know, there are times, even in Reiki, where if somebody tells me that they're sick or they're going through some things emotionally, and I feel like something tells me inside that maybe I should send some energy to them. I may say a prayer, or I may do some distant Reiki. You know, of course, there's a whole process of asking permission through oneness. And if I am given the go-ahead, I go ahead and I send that energy. This week, I am going to do exactly the same for 2 people I know that need healing. And in the hopes that that energy will match with theirs, and in oneness, we help them heal a little faster. So the point is that I can give a gift without ever it having to be something, a physical exchange. But because my thoughts are giving it in joy, knowing that that energy exchange is going to help someone. In turn, I know there are people out there who pray for me and who may be sending me Reiki energy. And I accept it openly and lovingly because I want that circulation to continue. Second thing we talked about is when somebody gives you a compliment or gives you a gift, that you are open to receive any type of gift from the world without any type of forcing it to be, how do I say? So many of us receive compliments and we immediately freeze because we're like, oh, we have to give a compliment back. What can I say? Oh, look, his shoes. Hey, those are nice shoes. No, accept the compliment. Just say thank you. And if there you are, greeted in your heart to say, hey, I want to compliment them back, not because they complimented me, but because they truly have something that I'd like to compliment them on, then it's fine. But it is when we break away from that, oh my God, I have to, that we truly feel that flow. And again, one of the other practices I want you to go through this week is that whenever you see someone or encounter someone, and again, it could be a situation, is silently give them a blessing. Whether it's I affirm something for you. If you know they're going through a challenge, you may want to affirm goodness and divine order for them. If it is something that they are going through, you can also hold the high watch by affirming, healing and health, or prosperity and abundance, whatever it is, inner peace. As of today, I know a lot of people are going to be seeking prayers of inner peace because they are dealing with current events and things that are challenging their emotions right now. So we want to remember that when we talk about the law of pure potentiality, which we talked about first, that we are never in lack. So giving and receiving is just a flow of life. The minute we hit lack in our minds, not only do we doubt the law of potentiality, but we also block the flow of the giving-receiving law. Think of all the things that have been freely given to you without you having to ask for them. Experiencing gratitude allows you to participate in the law of giving and receiving. Remember, we talked about that thoughts are also another way that the flow continues. When we are in that state of gratitude, and again, pebble, water, ripple, in that state of gratitude is flowing outward. And what it does is it magnetizes all the potentiality out here. And it says, Richard is grateful for what he has, let's give him more. So when we think of lack, and that's the ripple we're sending out, guess what you think is coming back to us? So today we talked about the law of potentiality, of pure potentiality, and we talked about the law of giving and receiving. So those are the first two laws I want you to work with this week. As always, we've given you discussion questions at the end. If you invited some people over for coffee, and again, there's another way of giving and receiving, giving away some free coffee, great discussion, great energy with the lesson, and in turn, you'll be receiving great discussion and great energy and love, and knowing that that discussion can lead to so much because it is part of the energetic force of pure potentiality. Remind yourself daily, you are pure potential and expression. And you have the power to give, even if it is a smile. And you are open to receive the gifts that the universe has for you. And when you've done both, you continue that life flow. That pure potentiality, the giving and receiving energy, you're on your way to truly not only defining success for yourself, but truly living in a state of success. With that being said, let us affirm for ourselves that we are pure potentiality, and in that potential world we have an abundance to give and receive in this loving energy. So I hope you got a lot from this lesson. I encourage you to stay to the end, just have your discussions, as well as take the action steps for the week. And I bid you namaste as I see that divinity in you, that pure potentiality in you. And I urge you to go in peace and give from the lesson you received today. And we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care, so call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build. Every room inside is filled with things from far away. The special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we lost our minds. I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to a world that we design.